So, oh my god, filters destroy your white balance. Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about UV filters and how they destroy image quality. Okay, so UV filters are these things. They're pretty much crystal clear bits of glass. The UV stands for ultraviolet. They're made for back in the days when film existed, and it would stop the ultraviolet light coming in and just kind of fading your photos, especially if you're shooting in high contrast areas and stuff like that. However, UV filters are still around and you can buy them and they're pretty darn cheap. However, you will hear a lot of people saying, don't use filters. Oh my god, you have a filter in front of your lens. Oh, it destroys image quality. And generally that's what everyone thinks. So A, why would you buy a filter? Well, lots of reasons. And B, if you do have a filter, how much does it destroy your image quality? Well, first thing to go over is why would you buy one? Well, you buy one to protect your goddamn lens. If your lens costs £900 and it's the sharpest thing in the whole entire world, if you get a scratch or some dirt or just something on the lens and then you try and clean it off, then you suddenly make a bigger scratch or a bigger smear of dirt on your lens. Whoops. Meanwhile, if you do that on a quality filter, whoops, but it's only a filter. It's not a whole lens, and you can easily get another one of these. Secondly, a lot of lenses have a curve to them and they're quite difficult to clean. You can get salt right in the edges and stuff like that. Pain in the butt. Meanwhile, with a filter, it's usually totally flat, very easy to clean, and you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so that's why you'd get one. But do they destroy image quality? Well, what I did, I thought I'd test this out and I would look at a high quality filter which I've got on my Samyang 85mm f1.4 lens. Super duper portrait lens and very, very sharp. I love it. Manual focus only. And let's have a look at the photos which I've done here. I did them, first one with the filter on and then the second one with the filter off. So we'll just pick these two images here. I'm doing this through Adobe Lightroom at the moment. So this is Adobe Lightroom 3, so we can see the raw files. Now straight away, what you can see is that there's a tiny time difference in this image, which you can tell by looking down at this person here. In the first image with the filter on, and then the filter off, she's much closer. However, that's not really important. Second thing is, filters suck out so much light from your photos. Does it really? Okay, it does. It does actually take out a tiny bit. What we can do is we can see here, if we on Adobe Lightroom, if you click on this bit on the histogram, it will make red all the bits which are blown out. As you can see, all these bits. So those bits are just like totally super duper white. Now, my settings are exactly the same and it's an overcast day, so nothing was really changing. And it's only seconds in between each shot here. However, as you'll see here, if we go, that's with the filter off, I think. And this is it with the filter on. So notice how the red has got smaller. So that means there's less overexposed, less totally blown out. How much is it? Not really much at all. But it's not just in the sky, it's actually pretty much everywhere in the image. You'll notice that there is just a tiny little drop in brightness. If you look, say, down at the road, and you go from one, so filter on, filter off, you can see there is definitely a brightness increase. However, how much is it? So I'm thinking, if I go to the exposure control, I reckon if I bring up to like 0.15 of a stop, now I can't tell which one is the brighter image. So, at most, I would say a quality filter is probably taking out 1/6 of a stop of light. However, that could be slightly beneficial if you're shooting stuff with clouds and sky. So bringing it back down to where it first came into the computer, I also wanted to look at the sharpness of the image as well. So I shot this bit of a sign here. What was this? This is a quality bike corridor construction, thanks to Edinburgh Council. And then if we go to the filter off photo, I'm not seeing an increase in sharpness here. Now we are mega zoomed in. We are at 2:1 ratio. Again, I'm looking at this on a big 27-inch Mac here. And effectively, I almost think that it is easier to see this writing when the filter is on. Not because it's sharper, but because I think it's taking out the super bright bits of the white reflective lighting here, or white reflective writing, not lighting, writing. And it's actually making it a little bit easier for me to read than when the filter is off. So that's a little bit of a benefit. If we also look up at the histogram here, so this is a histogram, and let's say we put the little cursor here where it's kind of the biggest highlight here, and that's with the filter off. Now if we put the filter back on, you can definitely see there's a drop. So are we gaining anything more in this image? Potentially we might be. We might be holding a little bit more information in this shot with the filter on. If we go down to the dark areas, let's see if there's any difference here. So that's with the filter on and the filter off. So the filter off, the contrast seems to be bigger. So a filter maybe takes out a little bit of the contrast, which might be good for recovering some more of the dark areas. However, that was just one image. Wanted to look at another image here. Now this one is a super high contrast one, bright sky in the background. And it's a great image to look at things like chromatic aberration and sharpness, effectively. So, going with these two images here, what we've done is made sure that everything was exactly the same. As you can see, it was shot at f6.7, 250th of a second, ISO 200. Now that's it with the filter on. If we go to the filter off, okay, you can, again, a little bit more red going on in the image. Not a huge amount, not really that important. What about other things like chromatic aberration? Chromatic aberration is the green and purple and red and blue guff that you get around high contrast areas. So if I find a bit, okay, let's say this pipe here. Now, the Samyang at f6.7 is an awesome lens and you're not really going to get much chromatic aberration. However, let's see if we go to the filter off. Wait, I'll have to take that bit off. I'm going to have to get like super zoomed in. Let's go to 4:1. Right, I reckon this pipe here, here, right, we can see a little bit of aberration there, and let's see it on the filters off. Okay, so with the filter on, as you can see, this, damn it, this stuff, come on, this stuff here, this purple line, doesn't exist in the real world. That is an artifact of the light bending its optical bits around that because of poor lens construction. However, this is microscopic. This is actually 2 pixels width, that's all. Around the green pipe, or the pipe, you can see there's a little bit of green and then a little bit of purple. So that's how you get the chromatic aberration. If we go to this filters off, that almost looks a little bit brighter. However, it is a brighter image. And here, pretty much the same. And it's still just 2 pixels. Okay, so what you can see here is that a quality filter will not increase chromatic aberration in your images. However, there is one thing that I did notice, which is very difficult to see, but I think there is a tiny not just a brightness change, but a color change as well. So with the filter on, it seems a little bit cooler. With the filter off, it seems a little bit warmer. Let's say we have a little look at the histogram over here. So this is filter off, filter on. So yeah, you can definitely see the red has dropped a bit more, which is odd considering it's ultraviolet. Filter off again, red, much higher here. So what can we do? How much is this? I reckon if we go to the one with the filter on, I reckon it's probably only about 100 degrees or so. Let's say 6.4. I think that's pretty much it. So I would say it's 200 degrees Kelvin is what the filter is doing. So, oh my god, filters destroy your white balance. Next thing, very obvious for me here on this one, is a huge contrast difference. So with the filter off, this black bit in this tower here is much darker than when the filter's on. It's much more grayer. So there's much less contrast going on. And let's see if we look at the very dull histogram over here again. So with the filter on, the black goes to there, that's the lowest bit. The filter off, you can see there's a fraction more. However, how much is that fraction? Let's say we just add the blacks up. It's absolutely microscopic. I think it is by, yeah, I think that's about it. So instead of having Lightroom give an automatic +5, give it a +7, and then that will get your blacks looking roughly the same. And I think that's pretty much the image rescued there. So I am having to bring the contrast up to 31, the blacks up to 12, and the exposure up by 0.15. And then that means my two images are roughly looking exactly the same. In fact, I think the white balance now in the filtered one is a little bit too warm. We'll probably need to take it down by another 100 degrees. But yeah, so whew, that's my advice. And from my experience with my photos here, and the quality ultra UV filter that I've got, I think it costs £50 or something like that. It's a 77mm one, so it's quite a big one. It does stop certain amounts of light coming through. It does not affect sharpness. It does not affect your image really that much. Your contrast is shrunk a little bit, and your white balance could be fractionally off. But all of these are microscopic and something which you will always be changing hugely whenever you're editing it in Lightroom. If you want to run the risk of going out there without a filter on and having bird crap and stones and salt and sand going onto your lens and having to clean that off, good luck to you. For me, pretty much all my photos, I always have my filter on my lens, unless I'm doing a poster shoot, fashion photography, and I'm using flash and it's somebody's kind of like dress or something. Then I'll take the filter off. However, to my eye, I'll probably never notice the difference. And again, to the people that I'm taking the photos for, they probably wouldn't ever notice the difference. So if it's my advice you're wanting, I would say always, always, always get filters for your lenses. Clean the filters, don't clean your lenses. Makes life so much easier, so much stress-free as well. Anyway, that's just my advice. Hope that helps. Cheers, bye-bye.